Joining me on the podcast today is Lucy Reeves. Lucy is such a relatable person. So much of her life has been a battle with her mind and accepting the body she has. Her journey of trial and error to find solutions to improve this has made her realise happiness isn't defined by numbers. Her journey began investing her time into bodybuilding following the trends. This was a really insightful topic of conversation as you hear the pros and cons that come with it. With a more versatile approach to fitness, it healed her relationship with her body. This is something I think we all can learn from. Injecting our energy into the right things and finding a balance to ensure the most positive outcome. This episode, I believe, will help prevent so many from investing in the wrong things. So I have some incredibly exciting news. Now, some of you may already know this, but for those of you who don't, I've just had my first book published by Penguin called Fortune Favours the Brave. Now, the book consists of 76 short lessons on finding strength and vulnerability. Now, the questions I'd like to put to you: do you feel lost, surrounded by the wrong people? Do you find it hard to see a future? Do you struggle with your mental health? Have you been looking for a reason to live? Are you wanting to find fulfillment in life? Do you wish to test yourself both mentally and physically? And are you struggling to find direction or purpose in life? Now, I have battled most of my life with the questions I've just asked you. And over the years, I found solutions to overcome them and achieve the goals I had set myself. It is never too late to start a new chapter. You just need to be brave enough to take that first step. Now, if you're wanting to take that step, you can pre-order my book now on Amazon, Waterstones, or simply clicking the link in my bio on my Instagram handle, Joshua_Patterson_JP now. We are live wherever you are around the world today with me. I've never actually started with an intro like that. I feel like every time you do an episode, you're just like, what bit of panache are we going to add to it this time? But the point I was making was I have the incredible Lucy with me today. Hello. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right, actually. I'm excited to chat to you. I mean, you've literally just got off the train and arrived in London.
I know.
Just for this.
Not a London girl.
No, you're not.
No. But
Guildford.
I like that.
Guildford represent, right?
Yeah.
This is really exciting for me. Like, I think what you've been doing over the past number of years is remarkable. And actually just the research that I've been doing into you, like your journey, I think, again, is just it's just had such a profound impact, I think, on so many people around you.
Thank you very much.
How do you feel about it? Like, if I was to ask you the question, like, who is Lucy Reeves? What's the answer to that? Is that a broad question?
Very broad question. For someone that has multiple identity crises a day, that is quite a broad question. I want to be the difference that I needed when I was growing up. That's my primary objective always, is just try be the difference, be the change that I think a lot of young girls and young women need in the fitness space. But that hasn't come back quickly. That's almost where I am now. As you said, you've done a research into my journey. That's kind of petrifying to me. But yeah, it's been a long time to be here, be able to be like proud of who I am rather than being like, God, I wish I could be like her.
And do you feel like with the position that you're in right now, honesty is definitely going to be the best policy, right? Because I feel like so many people that probably embark on the same journey as you, when the camera's in front of their face, they're so good at maybe showcasing a false reality of what they are or who they are at that time. Yeah. Do you feel like with all the work that you've put into yourself, you are now at a point where you can accept who you are and be content?
Most days.
Yeah.
But the thing I always like to say is these journeys are never like linear and there's no end point. I think you probably understand what I mean by when you're trying to self-improve, that you're never like, right, this is it. I'm at the pinnacle now. I'm feeling great. There are some days that I don't feel comfortable in who I am, but I just have to remind myself that we've come a long way into feeling more happy in myself. So most days I do feel proud and happy of who I am, but there are some days that it's really takes a dive.
What do you think, if you're comfortable sharing it, what do you think was the catalyst? I mean, what I think really stood out for me is that you made quite a big remark that you hated your body and mind. That's, I mean, to struggle with one thing is pretty huge. To struggle with both, I mean, that's one hell of a hurdle that you're faced with.
Yeah.
Was that a knock-on effect off a singular moment, or do you think that's just being a female and I guess the things that you are faced with in life?
I think it's a contribution of both, more so falling onto like being a female growing up in a world that tells you to act a certain way, think a certain way and look a certain way. All those three pressures combine and then you just burst into like not knowing which one is the right option. For a while, my mind wasn't kind to me. It always said like horrible things. Every worst thought you could have, it was there always. And then reflected when I thought of my physique and then I looked in the mirror, it just spiraled. Like I used to talk and the back of my head was saying, shut up. Like you sound stupid. No one cares. No one's listening to you. You sound ridiculous. Like, I don't know if that's a knock-on effect of having some bullying at school or, you know, just going through life. But for me, the catalyst was I lost my granddad in 2021. And at that point, I was really in the depths of hating myself. And it took me losing someone who I loved the most in my life to realise that life's too short to sit in your bedroom and cry because you hate who you are, when you can just like embrace it and live a life. Because no one at my granddad's funeral was like, Mick was a great guy because he had a great six-pack. You know, no one commented on the way he looked. They were like, Mick was a really great guy. He made me feel really happy. I remember the time that we were sat laughing. I remember the time that he came over and painted the ceilings for me because I couldn't reach and stuff, you know. And I was like, okay, so people don't care so much about the way you look. It's the way you make people feel. And that's the most impactful thing. And for me, that was my catalyst of being like, what am I doing? What am I doing? I was sat, like, because we provided end-of-life care for my granddad, and I was sat on his bedside table and my grandma bought me a plate of cookies and a cup of tea, right, as grandparents do when you're feeling sad. And I went to go on my fitness pal to track the cookies, and I was thinking, oh God, you know, this is the third plate of cookies she's bought me. It's really adding up. And I sat there and I was like, your granddad's dying. Why are you caring about if you had 4 digestive biscuits today rather than 3? That was your allocated calorific amount or whatever. And at that point I was like, it's one of those like deep reflective moments where you're like, what is going on? Why am I still doing this? Why am I stuck in this hole in one of the saddest, most pivotal points in my life? I was still worried about cookies and calories.
When it comes to the fitness industry or investing within it, I think every single person is guilty of when they first initially get into the gym. For some reason, we just adopt this competition mentality where we restrict ourselves so heavily on enjoyment in order to reach a goal that I personally believe is not fulfilling.
No.
You're constantly striving for that perfection, and that perfection is never going to come.
No.
And I think what really stood out for me in one of your videos is that, you know, you kept comparing yourself to others. You know, why is it that I'm doing the same workouts and I'm eating the same foods as the women around me, but they look that way and I look this way? So many factors will play a part in that. And I think that's the issue. And also I think it's kind of the this I guess the dishonesty as well within the industry, where how many people do we actually know are taking performance enhancing drugs, right?
Yeah.
And are portraying a lifestyle or a physique that is unobtainable to the natural person. And so when that person is purchasing a plan and still not fulfilling the results that they wish, like, we're just going down this negative cycle. It's a weird one where I feel like the fitness industry is like a double-edged sword. And I know this might sound crazy coming from myself because I play a massive part in it. But, you know, for something that's meant to benefit you seems to be having such a detrimental effect on not just women, but men equally.
Absolutely. That's something that I wanted to touch on because, like, a lot of that I put online is very female orientated, but I have a lot of males in my life that very much struggle with the exact same things as I do. I just don't think it's heavily spoken about just yet. I think body confidence issues is huge in males. Having this mentality of, you know, bigger, leaner, stronger, carer, provider, all this stuff is still a huge pressure that I feel like a lot of men feel. And that's something I don't want my content to ever bypass, that I think I do think it's very female specific, but it goes across all genders, that I think the fitness industry is, like you said, a double-edged sword, and part of it is a lie, that we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. And so many of the fitness influencers or role models that we look at, we don't actually know what's going on in their real life. And that's, for part of me, what I like to talk about, because when I was my smallest, leanest, healthiest looking, and if you look at Fitspo on Instagram or whatever, I was my most sad. So if someone was to look at me at that point, they'd be like, I wish I looked like Lucy. But I was actually sat in my car crying every single time before I went to the gym. I wasn't eating anything. I was starving. I couldn't concentrate. I was at uni and I was like, I can't concentrate. I don't know what's going on. I was just paranoid about food, and rather than the education I'd paid thousands of pounds for. So again, it's this thing of fitness, Instagram, or just social media, or even magazines and hard PR. You don't see like the full story. You just see like the top of the iceberg. And like you said, part of it, we don't know who's on performance enhancing drugs. We don't know who's actually happy in that physique. And I always say, like, if you gain weight when you're trying to, like, in your self-love or whatever journey, you weren't supposed to lose that weight. You know, if you gain weight trying to have a better relationship with food, you weren't supposed to be the weight you were before. You know, because I've gained weight since I was on this journey, but that means that it's supposed to be there. If this is where my happy medium sits, then that's where my physique's supposed to sit. And I think all of us try and shrink, males included, like shrink and be leaner and bigger and stronger and whatever, but it's not actually where your happiness truly lies most of the time.
If you look at your specific environment, you know, you've got this incredible boyfriend who accepts you for who you are. He was attracted to you from the beginning. You didn't need to alter yourself to win his affections. Your family, your friends, if you look at your growing platforms and the literally, over 140,000 people now are subscribed, your community on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I guess the question you ask yourself was, have they signed up to that because of the person that I was or what I am now? And I feel like the version of yourself now seems a lot more happy and fulfilled than what you were once.
Absolutely.
And I think that's so important to share with people, because actually there are going to be so many women and men out there that are going to be following your journey in 10 years from now, 15 years from now. And I think actually what we need to be preaching is, how can we make a far more fulfilling and sustainable approach to our journey within fitness?
Yeah, I think that's what's really nice at the moment, is you're definitely seeing the shift in the fitness community, that we're trying to encourage this maintainable lifestyle, that we're doing sports that we enjoy rather than that are going to look a certain way. We're seeing the boom of running, and we're all talking about how food is fuel, you know, rather than chicken and rice cakes, right? And it's nice to see that we as a community, in terms of fitness leaders, are making the shift, because I think that's where a big error was when I was growing up. I was like, right, okay, I've left school, like I'm not dancing anymore, I'm not at athletics club, like I'm not 16, I want to go to the gym. You then go to social media as your research, because it's free, and then the research you see and you find on social media is the tip of the iceberg, and it's, you know, people that are doing what I eat in a day post, and they're starting with a flex, you know, okay, so I want to look like her, so I'll eat what she eats, and then you follow her workout, and then no one's actually saying to you, like, maybe she's on performance enhancing drugs, maybe her genetics plays such a huge part that I didn't know about when I was more uneducated in the like fitness space. And I think that's why, as fitness leaders or people within the community that have a platform, it's a great, like, we have a very big opportunity to make a bigger shift than what it was when I was 4 or 5 years ago when I was first starting out. Yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, it's so important, I think, to speak out. I remember going to an event once when I was on a panel, and out of respect to her and privacy, but I'll share her story. She was telling me, she was like, I was an exceptional track athlete. You know, I was one of the fastest, but the coach I had was white and was consistently pushing for me to lose weight. That was the major focus. It got to the point where my weight was more of the focus than my performance. But what was crazy was, it was almost like one blueprint fits all. I had to be the weight. I was the minority. The majority at that time within my demographic was white, and he wanted me to try and maintain the same weight structure as that majority.
Yeah.
Which she said to the detriment of my mental health.
Yeah.
Where she was like, I inherited an eating disorder where, you know, everything I was eating, it almost became like a punishment. And unfortunately, it got to the point where it just got too much, where I completely lost the love of the one thing in my life that I was the most passionate about. And I've retired from the sport. Now, although what's happened to her is horrendous, what she's learned from that, and I think what you've learned from your experiences, has gone on now and had such a big impact, like I've said. And I think she has gone on to help inspire and support so many female athletes out there that equally are going to be faced with that same thing. So I feel like there's almost like a silver lining with every negative that you are faced with.
So for 2.5 years, I had an Instagram account that I posted on while I was at uni. It started as, one, because it was lockdown and I was bored and I was paying for a degree that I was getting online, and 2, because I was a marketing student. So I had a module that was based on social media, and she was talking about all these analytics, and she was like, it'd be really great if you could just download yourself a business account so you can understand what it's talking about from a client's point of view. So I did that anyway, and I started posting because I was like, oh, this is fun. Anyway, I spent 2 years trying to look the same way as the other girls on Instagram did, because I thought that's what would get me followers from a very vain point of view. I thought, okay, if I become smaller, if I have a six-pack and I have visible abs and I have quads that are huge, whatever, I will then get followers, and that can then maybe help me in a career as a PT, because that's what I was thinking about doing at the time. And as soon as I posted one video that was like, this is what my body looks like moving in the gym. Literally nothing anywhere near to the level I talk about now, but it's like, it was just, I was basically left the clips in that you'd normally clip out because you don't feel like you look great. That went viral, and it gained, I grew from like 30k followers to 100k followers in like 2 months. And I was like, oh, so other people feel the exact same as I did. And it's interesting that if you look at in terms of success, another tongue twister, I've actually gained more success being more authentically who I am and what I look like naturally than I was when I was trying to fake it and look like everybody else.
I mean, one of my best friends, Tano, signed himself up to a competition, and he basically broke, you know, the pattern of eating. He went to a garage one day with his 2 children, and one of them wanted to order some donuts. And I think he ordered like 12, of which Tano obviously couldn't have. And then his son had forgotten something, went back into the shop. Tano, by the time his son had gone to the petrol station as in the shop and come back, had polished off the 12 donuts. Wow. He literally had a bite of one. He felt so guilty. He was like, I can't even explain the insanity. He booked himself. He went to a shop, bought £100 worth of pick a mix, took himself off to a hotel room and didn't leave it until he ate it. Years now, like looking back, he's like, that's not even normal behavior. He's like, I can't even explain the rationale behind that. He was like, it was almost like punishment for what I went through. So I'm kind of looking at it going like, what are the benefits of bodybuilding? Like, if you just predominantly focus on the aesthetic and, you know, from firsthand experience, you're saying you never reach that level of perfection, you're constantly critiquing your body, and it really does have an impact on your mental health. What actually is the incentive to do it?
I don't know. I think obviously some people can have an understanding for it and not take it too far. Like, that is obviously an ability some people have. But for me, I think the reason why so many people fall into the pattern of training like a bodybuilder is because, like I say, when you start your fitness journey, you look on social media for what do I do? It's what you see. You see someone do a push-pull leg split or a chest day, back day, leg day, whatever, and then you mimic it and you do the same thing, and then you subconsciously fall into the pattern of training and eating like a bodybuilder because it's all you see in terms of educate. Like, when you're trying to educate yourself, all you saw was someone doing a push-pull leg split, and you're like, oh, now I'm training like a bodybuilder, and now I'm like in this world, and algorithms pick you up and you're engaging with content, whatever, and then it's pushed into your face, and you're like, now I'm going to eat like that too. And then I think it's a subconscious thing that so many of us do. What upsets me is, like, why do we leave school and stop doing sport for fun? Why do we leave school and stop doing rounders and stop playing tennis with our friends and going swimming round pools? Like, why did we leave school and stop doing sports that we enjoyed, that was fun? Where did the shift come from when you leave school at 16 to like joining a gym at 18 or whatever, that you're not doing it for fun anymore and you're doing it for aesthetics? And I think a heavy part to play in that is social media.
Yeah, I mean, what I would follow up on that is, why is it we have to be educated with pretty much everything that we do, but when it comes to the gym, we're not?
Yeah.
I personally, I think there should be stipulations in place where any gym, I feel like when you sign up, obviously everyone's going to be very different in terms of their background, but 9 times out of 10, you're looking at people in the gym and their movement is wrong or their positioning's wrong. And they're the ones actually sustaining injuries through, I guess, the incorrection of what it is that they're doing. Or how many people do you see that go into the gym and are doing the same movements? Now, from a psychological point, I don't doubt for a second it's really helping their mental health. But what is it that they're actually trying to achieve? Is it just purely to go to a gym and just break a sweat, or even just work out for half an hour and just de-stress? Or are they actually trying to achieve something? Because I feel, for me, like, if you go to a place for more than a year and you're not seeing any substantial change, I don't know. I guess it's all tailored specifically to the individual. But, you know, I just think gyms need to start taking more responsibility for it. And a lot of PTs as well, maybe it's the way they articulate themselves, but when I chat to them, there's this fear of going up to an individual and maybe just giving them like words of wisdom on something because of the reaction.
This week's episode is sponsored by Runner. Runner is a personalized running coaching app helping runners of all abilities train for any goal, from a first 5K to a marathon, even an ultra marathon. When the time is right for you, your plan can be created within a minute and ready to go. With each plan, Runner provides all the help a runner requires, including strength and conditioning, and you can also reach out to the team at any time via the support tab inside the app. For a 2-week free trial on any personalized running plan, use the code PHOENIX. No matter your goal, Runner is there to help you achieve it.
I think maybe what would be nice is if it was expected in gyms. If you, as a new gym member, walked into a gym knowing that there was maybe like a helper that walked around the gym floor that was like, did it to multiple people. I think the issue is that a lot of newbie gym goers feel, and I feel it now, I've just joined a new gym, but when I did join the gym, you don't want someone to come up to you to offer help because you don't want to look like you don't know what you're doing, because you feel like everyone in there's is judging you anyway. So you sort of just either stick in one spot or you don't do anything new, right? You walk in, you're like, okay, well, I know how to do that dumbbell press and I know how to do that chest press. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that, then I'll leave because no one's going to judge me because I know what I'm doing there. And therefore you don't venture out. I think what would be nice is if gyms had someone on the gym floor that pointed it out for mass people.
Maybe with your community, there's something for that. I mean, I feel like there are so many people in universities now that are way more proactive in that fitness space than probably they've ever been before. Drinking culture seems to be shifting like dramatically, and actually like creating almost seminars or just something, I don't know, where you can just educate and inspire these individuals to work better. It's just about training smarter.
Yeah.
You know, you feel great, but also physically just seeing those improvements. And it's not always focused on the aesthetics. You know, a lot of people may be driven by the personal best side of things. And you're only going to achieve that by perfecting the movements that you're doing, right?
Yeah, but I also think maybe if you want to, like, if you need it for mental health or like as an outlet, you've had a big busy day at work, don't always think, okay, well, I'm going to start movement, I'm going to go to the gym. Pick a movement that you think you would enjoy more. Like, you don't have to go to the gym. You can go for a walk, you go play badminton, you go for a swim, you go to Pilates, yoga, anything. You don't have to always join a gym. I think people just like, without even thinking subconsciously, they go, right, okay, well, I want to start moving more, either for physical or mental like change, I'm going to go join a gym. And therefore, like, you then fall into this rabbit hole of like, I actually don't want to be here, so I'm going to do what I can to be as quick as I can and leave. But if you actually just pick something that you enjoy, because like, you run, right? I know I've started running recently and I'm like, well, not recently, about 1.5 years, but I'm like, I'd much rather now go for a run than I would go to the gym. I'm like, why did I not run long, like before? Oh, it's because I thought it was going to affect my gains, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, why, just pick a sport that you enjoy. I now swim twice a week. Why? Because I enjoy it. Do I look cool doing it? No. Do I feel fun? Does it feel fun for me? Yeah. Like, I'm just swimming up and down the lane.
I think there was 2 really defining moments for me when you were speaking about running and I guess the influence bodybuilding had on you at the time, where what you just pointed out there, one was the fact that you thought running would affect the gains that you were trying to achieve. The second, though, which I thought was the biggest, was the fact that you were training 6 days a week in the gym, but you were struggling to walk up a hill.
Yeah.
This is where I think the transition of you becoming this hybrid athlete, which, you know, I really want to get
Well, I
stuck
think
into.
I think a lot of people are shifting there, but yeah, I was most unfit I've ever been.
You look at how versatile you are now, because I think that the term hybrid athlete is you're seeing it commonly used more and more and more.
What's the buzzword?
And I think for me, I guess if somebody was to say like, what's your ideology of what a hybrid athlete is? For me, it's about versatility.
Mm-hmm.
It's focusing on more than one thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is great, is that so many of these sports now, running, high rocks, they really do complement one another.
Yeah.
And I think it's great when one sport can benefit another. But equally, if you want to train in the gym, and I just think every individual that listens to this, I think it's so important to dip your toe into as many things. By no means stretch yourself out so much to the point where you're not really seeing the benefits of anything you're invested in. But equally, like, you know, for instance, in a week, it's great to run, it's great to do the gym, and then even throw in a high rocks workout, because the different types of stamina per exercise or whatever it is or sport you are doing, when you accumulate it together, I think long term there's such a benefit to that, but also you're being exposed, I think, to so many different people.
Yeah. I also think that progress is one, you can focus on either physical progress or mental progress. You don't always, like, if you start going to the gym and you really enjoy it, like, fine, yeah, brilliant, I enjoy the gym. And then in a few weeks' time, if you're like, well, do you know what, I actually don't really join the gym anymore. You know, you can, if you want to do 4 different things in a week, dance class Monday, yoga Tuesday, walk Thursday, swim Friday. I mean, that's expensive, but like, you can pick up different things throughout the week. You don't always have to do like the same thing to get progressively physically better at it. Movement means, for so many people, movement is good for your mental health, right? So if doing lots of different types of movement is better for you mentally, then do that. Like, you don't be like, well, I'm not actually going to get good at anything. If you go tennis twice a month, you're probably going to be slower than if you went tennis 4 times a week. But if it brings you happiness and you like going and playing tennis with your dad or whatever, why not?
What I'm interested to know, why though the investment into running? I mean, with the sad passing of, do you call him Grandpa?
Granddad.
When your granddad sadly passed, why of all sports was running kind of the vessel that you invested your time into?
It was quicker. So, for example, just some backstory. We, as a family, provided end-of-life care for my granddad. So during that time, I couldn't get to the gym. So I couldn't have that mental health relief because I was in 3rd year of uni, writing my dissertation at the time. So, like, we would look after him, take it in shifts, and then I would write my dissertation, and then I would sleep, and then I'd wake up, go to uni. So, like, I didn't have, for those 2 weeks, it was 2 weeks, but it felt like the longest 2 weeks of my life, I didn't have the chance to go to the gym. So I took my running trainers with me, my ones I had from school, to my grandma's, and I would just sort of like go for a run, like up and down the road. It was probably about 15 minutes, but it was just that tiny bit of like mental health release and that stimulation that I needed to be like, okay, I can do this. I can go back in there and be strong and be, you know, best foot forward in both my degree and caring. And afterwards I was like, okay, I want to do something for charity. There's no bodybuilding charity exercise. You can't, it's not like a weightlifting charity thing. So I was like, okay, I'll do the London Marathon to raise money for the charity that helped us look after Granddad. And in that 16-week training block, I grieved. I went through all the stages of grief, and I was crying on runs, you know, I was having that release of anger and sadness and why me and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, this is free therapy. And I just never stopped, which is strange because it's like, okay, why pick running over whatever? But I think running is one of the most accessible sports out there in terms of finances, in terms of physical ability, and in terms of like time. You can go for a 15-minute run and get the same endorphin hit as you do from a 45-minute gym session. You shouldn't run, but you can run in anything. You can really run in any trainer. You know, if you want to go out there, you can get very scientific in it. You can spend hundreds of pounds on a good trainer, but you can also just buy like a 60 quid pair of trainers and they would last you for like 3 months. You know, like you don't have to, it's financially as well. very like open for a lot of people, I think. That's something that I love about the sport. If you just do it as like a casual thing, it's a lot more financially available than, like, gym memberships are expensive. Especially when I was a student, I was like, right, okay, grasping at straws here to put petrol in my car and to also get to the gym. So I think it's nice to have it's financially more available.
I mean, it's amazing, you know, the work that you've done. I guess the legacy that you carry on, you know, because of him.
Yeah. I mean, he would think I was absolutely stupid.
But do you know
He
what?
would think I was, I know what he would say if I told him I ran London Marathon, let alone that I ran another marathon after that. He'd be like, Lucy, what are you doing that for? You know, if I said to him, oh, sorry, Granda, you know, I can't come around Cuff of Tea today. I've got a training run that's probably going to take me 4.5 hours, and then I've got probably about an hour of recovery laying on my bedroom floor, dying afterwards. He'd be like, well, that's stupid. Why are you doing that? You know, I know, because my grandma says the same thing to me. She goes, he would think you're mad. He would definitely 100% think I'm mad, especially, like, you know, when it's pouring it down with rain. You come back and you're absolutely soaking wet. There's not 1 ounce of clothing on you that isn't soaking wet.
Yeah.
She's like, you're crazy. And I know, but
ultimately you do it because that's how much he meant to you.
Yeah.
You know, love makes you do crazy things.
It does.
Right?
It does. And he would go absolutely crazy to think that there was, like, videos of, because I was in the clips for the London Marathon this year on the news. He would have thought that was absolutely mad. There's a video I posted of him on my Instagram. It's got, like, nearly 18 million views. And my grandma, every day, she's like, I can't believe 18 million people have seen mine and your granddad's face. It's crazy.
It's special, though. You know, I think you're going to help a lot of people that are grieving, you know.
Yeah.
And I think it just, you know, not just the impact you're having on other people, but I think the transition into identifying yourself as a hybrid athlete with what you're doing in running, you know, I think it's really important to highlight, I guess, how much it's impacted your own mental health. You know, I think you said something which I think is really important, how it enabled you to appreciate and love your body, or accept yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important. What do you think it is about, I guess, what you're invested in now, running specifically, that has enabled that? Is it the fact that you're testing yourself in a completely different way? And I guess that's the reminder of what you are capable of achieving.
When you start long distance running, especially, you have a shift in terms of food that is, I sit and I look at a bowl of pasta now, for example, and I'm like, right, you need to carb load, right? Whatever. Whereas before, I would be like, I can't eat that pasta. No way I can eat that pasta, because that's going to push me over my calories or whatever, and have a knock-on effect for the rest of the week. Like, if I have this, then I won't be able to have that. Whereas now I look at food and I'm like, okay, that is quite literally fuel, because if I didn't eat that big bowl of pasta, or if, like, there's a run that I go on that I haven't fueled properly beforehand, I don't feel great. And then you have the knock-on effect of, right, okay. And for the first time in my life, I sat and ate like a bag of Haribo sweets, and I didn't feel guilty about it, like mid-run, because I was like, I'm dying, I need some sugar here. And I just sat and I was eating them, and I was like, this is the first time I actually remember eating sweets and not feeling bad about it, because I was like, no, I need some sugar, I need a quick release of sugar. So I think that is a huge part in why hybrid training shifted the way I saw myself and my physique so much. And I think so many young women have now made that shift too. If you see the boom in running, that's not because it's cool. People wouldn't go and run marathons just because it's cool. Like, that is a big commitment if it's just to, like, be cool. It's because people can see the mental shift in themselves from, okay, project body focused to project mind and ability focused. You know, I see a shift in myself when I've not got something to train for. I fall back into old habits of, like, okay, right, I'll go on a diet then, or whatever. In between, like, training blocks, whatever, you'd be like, okay, let's go back to bodybuilding training and grow this or whatever. So I know for a fact that it's come down to running and or training for something.
Do you find, even if you're running, like, serious volumes, can you still gain weight? And if you did, how does that make you feel now in comparison to the past?
I did gain weight in my marathon training block. I just did Paris. I don't weigh myself, so I couldn't tell you, but I'm pretty sure I gained some weight, and I don't care anymore, because otherwise, if I hadn't, and that's what I mean, that weight was supposed to be there, because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to run the marathon. So I don't mind. If it wasn't supposed to be there, then it's like it wouldn't be there. But I obviously I was training, I was eating everything that I was supposed to be eating and doing in order to complete it, then I needed to have that extra weight. I mean, also like you do something really cool. Running a marathon is really cool. So like whatever your body does in order to achieve that, that's fine.
It's so true. How many people do you think have followed like a strict nutritional plan, you know, in order to aid the performance that they're doing, have stuck to the structure of running, you know, have executed all the training within the gym, but have gained this weight and are questioning themselves going, well, this doesn't make any sense. How is it I'm running 50 to 100 kilometers a week and I'm gaining weight? And I think what you've just touched on there is so important. Ultimately, the body it absorbs it, it needs it.
Yeah. Also, you get so inflamed after.
You do, but also just focus on the performance element.
Yeah, exactly.
Ultimately, if you're obtaining the times that you're aiming to achieve, or even, you know, even more than that, then that's got to be the focus.
Absolutely.
You know, and I think with running, the physique, in all honesty, like it's amazing how the body adapts to exactly what it needs, whether that's increasing in size or shrinking.
Mm-hmm. And also, like, I think most people when they start running, I don't weigh myself anymore, but that was a rule I made for myself. I saw it as an unhealthy habit. But a lot of my friends I say to a lot of people, you go from tracking calories and tracking weight to tracking kilometers and pace. It's really strange when you see that shift. When you go from like a typical bodybuilding to more hybrid, you're like, okay, right, well, that's the food and that's the weight. Okay, let's reduce that to be better next week. Whereas this time you're like, right, okay, well, I was 5 minutes off my target pace this week, so let's maybe have a bit more fueling next week and go again, right? You go from tracking maliciously like food and stuff to tracking kilometers and pace, or just like completion. Because I know for some people, that's the one thing I wanted to tap on, is that running can feel overwhelming because everyone's like, right, let's go for a sub-3 marathon. No, it doesn't matter. No one gives a shit.
Yeah, I mean, your
it doesn't
your videos
matter.
do crack me up. Like your friends supporting on the sideline. I think one of your mates actually offered you beer.
Yeah.
Like just such a
and I
such
don't
a casual approach. I actually thought you were going to go for it.
I don't really drink.
Yeah.
So I speak to a lot of people online and they're like, oh, I would love to start running, but I'm just not very good. But like, what's good? Who's very, like, if you're saying like, oh, you're not very good, like, are you comparing yourself to a pro? Like, what is level of good do you have to be to start, and where do you think they started? Not very good? What's not very good?
Honestly,
putting one foot in front of the other? Is that not very good?
I say it once, I say it a billion times. You know, what is more important to you, the individual? The fulfillment that you get from anything that you do, or the momentary validation from someone?
Absolutely.
Like, why do we pine for the attention and the validation of anyone, in all honesty? Like, ultimately, even if what you are setting out to achieve, you're far from it still, you know, if you come away from whatever it is that you're doing and just absolutely love the process, that's just the most important thing. That's how it's sustainable.
Yeah. I think what's a really magical moment, and if anyone is thinking about getting into running but they don't think they're very good, or, you know, they think you have to get like a sub-3 marathon, go to a marathon but like hang about till the people that are doing it for charity, or they've done it because they've waited 6 years to make ballot. Like, go and watch that part of the marathon. I mean, watch the pros, watch the people that are going for a sub-3 that train their ass off to get there, absolutely. But watch the other people that have also trained their ass off to just complete it. Like, they're having a great time. People are dressed up as Scooby-Doo and they're running up and down the streets of London having an absolutely great time. Like, but they're still a marathon runner. Whether you do it in 6 hours or 3, like, there's no difference. You've still got the same medal and you've run the same race.
Yeah, do you know what? It's so interesting, you know, when it comes to the marathon, the focus is always sub-3. And actually, it's so rare that anyone's like, that person with a fridge on their back was laughing.
I know.
And dancing, you know, or that couple who were dressed like that, like you said. Like, why is the focus not like, I want to be that person?
Yeah.
I want to be able for the next 4 to 6, 7 hours, just have the time of my life.
Yeah, and do something that is literally a bucket list moment that you probably won't do again. And when I ran my first marathon, especially I think because of the fact that I come from a fitness platform, everyone was like, oh, you're going for a sub-3? And I was like, I'm going to complete it. I'm doing nothing else but apart from trying to cross that line. And I had the same thing when I ran Paris. Everyone was like, oh, you're going for like a sub-3 this time because, you know, you did London. I was like, I'm doing the same thing. I'm just going for completion.
Lucy is one of our runner ambassadors, and you did Paris with the team. You weren't selected to come because you run sub-3.
No.
You were selected because people connect with you. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's the most important thing. Again, like when you look at the individuals that run sub threes, they're an elite level runner who've been doing that for a very long time. But also that's very few of those runners will tell you that they absolutely love the marathon that they are running.
Yeah.
You can't be present.
No.
You're in a pain cave pretty much from start to finish. And I just think, where's the motivation for something like that? And a lot of those guys are incentivized because they get endorsed by it, right? I just think whether it be a choice of career that you're doing, if you look at your community's invested in you, I think, because of the personal journey that you're going on rather than the personal best that you're achieving.
Absolutely.
I think it's just sometimes we maybe get our lives mixed up where we're trying to compare ourselves and compete with a full-time professional, but we equally just want to live a very regular life.
I think also what's amazing is if you run a marathon, you've got a full-time job. That's incredible.
It's remarkable.
How you go for a 16-week training block or however long training block, and you've got a full-time job and you've got kids and you've got a dog and, you know, you've got parents that need your help, whatever. And you're still, because I did the first 8 weeks of my London marathon training block with a job. That was hard. Like, you're running pitch black either morning or night because it's the UK and you're running in winter. You know, you're trying to not turn up to work exhausted the next day after you've done your really long runs, and you're like, right, okay, can't see any friends or family because Sunday is dedicated to the big runs, you know, your 25s, your 30Ks, whatever. So I think if anyone out there has run a marathon and you've got a full-time job, like, give yourself a pat on the back, or a half marathon or any race, because that is.
If you're a parent,
and if you've got any form of responsibility as a human being, give yourself a pat on the back, because like that's, even if you have a job as a full-time athlete, like, they obviously deserve masses of praise because they've only got there through hard work, right? But people that are doing it from the place of they've got 2 hours before they, you know, when they get home or before they put the kids to bed or whatever, that's incredible.
100%.
Really incredible.
What do you think the future looks like for you right now with this, I guess, this completely new lease of life, you know?
That is an overwhelming question sometimes, because my brain wanders quite frequently. I'm like, I want to achieve so much and I want to help as many females as I can, but my main focus is I want to break the cycle for young women. I think we are making a big shift in people my age where loads of people are doing it, but I still think we are forgetting where the problem lies. And my boyfriend's younger sister, she's 11. She turned around to me the other day and she went, I need to go on a diet before we go on holiday. And I thought to myself, we were making so much progress in like my age group. We're finally having these mental shifts. A lot of people are shifting. I'm like, but the problem when you're prepubescent or going through all those feelings is still there. Like, that's heartbreaking. So I think that's where I'm going to put a lot of my power, dedication, movement, you know, for the next few years, is the younger generation, and how can we help them not have to go through the huge cycle that we go through when we hit 18, 19, 20, and to be like feeling confident in our bodies. Like, let's help them not have to go through that big shift.
Do you feel like, although the journey that you've been through is a difficult one, when you look back and reflect on all of that now, and I guess the position that you find yourself in, is there now an element where there's understanding and gratitude?
Yeah. I'm very grateful for the girl that didn't give up. You know, I'm very grateful for the girl that didn't give in to the dark thoughts and didn't give in to the feelings that she had. I'm very grateful for the fact that, like, I looked in the mirror one day and I was like, no, that's enough. I'm gonna sort my life out. I'm gonna start giving myself the love I give everybody else. And that I realised that people didn't love me because I was shrinking. They were loving me because of what I was bringing to the table. And I'm forever grateful for those moments, you know, the dark moments that help you put life into perspective. Although at the time they feel engulfing and they feel awful, they will help you pivot. And I think that's something that you have to really lean into. Losing my granddad was one of the hardest things I've ever done, but it was the biggest pivot my life has ever taken. So when you're at that all-time low, I think everyone's like, oh, I can't see a way out. Just know that you will see a way out one day, and you'll look back at that moment and think, I'm glad I didn't give in. and I didn't give up.
When you look at the progress that you've made, you know, Lucy of old would have looked in the mirror by the sounds of things and would have said, I don't like the way that I think. I don't like the way I feel. I don't like the way I look. If you were to look in the mirror right now, what would you say?
I think those thoughts would be underlining but penultimately, I feel proud that I chose happiness. And I look at myself in the mirror now and I think, you make other people feel happy, loved and warm and supported. And that is the most powerful thing I think I see in other people. So I force myself to see that in myself. Like, people don't, like, your daughter doesn't look at you and think, I love dad because he's got a six pack. Like, it's because the way you make her feel. And I think that's something that we all need to remind ourselves when we look in the mirror and we're having those dark thoughts or negative thoughts. Like, what do other people see in you? Because they don't see anything that you're hyperfixating on, like your arms or your skin or whatever. No one's hyperfixating on that when they're looking at you. Like, they wouldn't. Like, I say to my boyfriend Alex, I'm like, I hate my arms in this top. He's like, I think you look great. Didn't even notice your arms. So why do we sit and hyperfixate on them? Like, I think that's... So when I look in the mirror now, I think I'm proud of the way you make other people feel, not because the way you look, but because of what you bring to the table.
That's powerful. That's really powerful.
I think one of those things is a shift. There are moments that you have, and I posted a reel about this the other day. It's like, if you're looking at your face and you think, I hate that, I hate this, I wish I looked like her, I wish my nose was smaller, I wish my lips were bigger or whatever. When you're looking in the mirror, know that you are made up of thousands of people over time that have loved each other enough to make another person, right? So for years I wanted blue eyes, but someone told me the other day that my eyes look like my granddad's. And now I will never want to change them because it's like he's looking at me when I look at them, you know? And you are made up of thousands of people that loved each other enough to want to bring more life into the world. And I think that is amazing.
Yeah, it's an incredibly powerful thing. I think for anyone that is listening right now who feels insecure in themselves and maybe is questioning things, what advice can you give them?
My biggest reminder that I tell myself every day is that you are enough. Like, as you are enough.
But why is that? Why would they be enough?
Because of the way that other people in your life is enough, right? So you don't look at your mum or your partner or whoever you love most in this world and think, I wish they would change this about themselves or change this about them. They are enough because they show up entirely as they are to you, your life, and they help you be who you are and you help them be who they are. So, like, when you are sitting there thinking, I wish, I had that, or I look like her, or I had their money, or I had their life, whatever, because I think self-comparison can lie in so much other areas of life that isn't just the way you look. It can be like financially or lifestyle based. You are enough just the way you are because, like, that's how other people see you. I'm enough how I am because, I help my mum, I help my boyfriend feel good, I help my grandma laugh, and me and my friends have a good time. I make them feel seen and validated and loved and listened to all the time. So, like, that's how I'm enough. And it has absolutely nothing to do with the number on the scales, the number in my jeans, the number in my bank account, number of followers I have, number of career moves or marathons I've run. It has absolutely nothing to do with anything other than the way you are, which is enough.
I think people will invest in you from the energy that you radiate, not what you look like.
Absolutely.
And I think too often we focus on that, and, it doesn't get easier as you get older. I've got friends right now and the financial seems to always be the focus. And, what they need to realise is that we became friends before we even had jobs.
Absolutely.
And money wasn't even a thing then. I liked you because you made me laugh. I like the way you make me feel.
Yeah.
I just like being around you.
Yeah.
And whatever it is that you choose to do in life, I'll support you through that. And I think it's just a shame that, again, it's not just the physical, but also the financial then comes into play where the insecurities crop in, where it's like, this person's earning this amount of money. But equally, the person who's earning an awful lot of money is probably looking at the free spirit who's traveling the world thinking, wow.
We always want what we can't have. The grass is always greener on the other side. And that goes for absolutely everything. I think the one thing that I've loved learning in this journey is that happiness isn't defined by a number. So a number on the scales, a number in your bank account, your number in your genes. I say it over and over again, but it doesn't define your happiness at all. Obviously money helps. Like, I'm not saying it's not. I'm not naive, whatever. But the richest people are the happiest people because of who they surround themselves with, what they do. They have passions and they have laughter and whatever. Then it's not because you're sat in a room on your own earning millions of pounds,
Happiness isn't defined by number. Lucy, that's fucking unbelievable. I've never heard of that before. Wow. Have you heard of that before, Reese? Whoa. That's going to be the episode title.
Is it?
That's phenomenal. Wowzers. That's such a powerful quote.
I think it's really important because you can't scale happiness and you can't pin it on one point. I can't say that I was the happiest when I was a size 8. I can't say I was the happiest when I got my first job when I went from earning £200 to, London living standard, which is nothing. But I can't say that there was no shifts in my life. I was happier when I, was a size 8 or when I was earning, 20k as a postgrad. There was no okay, right, when I was 69.9 kg or whatever, those weren't the happy points. So why do we try and define our happiness by them or wait for those moments? Because I know for so many people, we wait to do things that we want to do until a certain number appears in our life, whether that's the financial one or on the scales or in your dresses. I know a lot of people say to me I'm not going to wear a bikini until I'm a size 10. Why? Why are we waiting for a size 10 in clothing to be happy and living free?
Wherever you go in life, you're not going to be drawn by the person who looks good in the bikini but keeps to themselves. You're going to be drawn to the person full of charisma and energy, confidence, humour. But
also, as a kid, did you live in a bikini worried about, I think so many people were their truest, happiest selves as children, right? When you live more carefree, which is absolutely fine. And when you grow up, there's things you can't control, worries about money and worries about putting a roof over your head, food in front of your kids, whatever. But we were our happiest when we were children, and it's because we lived in a more carefree manner. We didn't care what size bikini we were wearing when we went to the beach. All we wanted to do was go to the beach and build a sandcastle. That was our primary objective, was to go and have fun. And since I've tried to incorporate that back in my life, living like I was a child again, I've seen a huge difference in my enjoyment of moments as well. Because I now go to a beach and I'm yeah, let's go in the sea. I washed my hair last night. Oh, I've got makeup on. Oh, it doesn't matter. Before I'd be oh no, I'm not going to go in the sea. I'm going to sit on the side, going to leave my hair nicely done and my makeup done, whatever. Whereas now I'm no, I'll go have a water fight with my, boyfriend's little sister or my little sister. I'll go have a good time rather than being oh no, but what if I look silly? And what if you look silly? Do you look at kids and think, oh, God, you look silly?
Yeah, just embrace the moment, right?
Yeah. Do you look at other people and think, God, you look silly? And I look at other people having a walk piss for fun. I'm you're having a great time. I'm going to join in. I'll do something like that.
100%. Again, just don't worry what people think. Just do it,
Yeah.
Listen, I've absolutely loved having you on. It's amazing to see someone at such a young age, I think, learn so much about themselves, but equally just, I don't know, take responsibility and utilize the platform that they have and the Norwich. I don't know why I've just brought a random city and represent Norwich and the knowledge that you've inherited and share that with so many people. And, it makes you feel, it just fills you with confidence that the future is bright, because I think with people out there like yourself who can influence the future, it makes it a far more exciting and a positive place.
Well, thank you very much.
Honestly,
it really means a lot.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
You're an absolute star. And that, my friends, is one hell of an episode.
Goodbye.
Big love. Yes.
If you enjoyed today's podcast, you fatted biscuit, all I ask of you in return is that you push that subscribe button and leave a review. Unless it's a bad one, you can keep that, you sausage. Your support, though, makes such a difference to this podcast and enables it to grow and connect with even more people around the world.